Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. This is the Aspen City Council work session for March 20th, 2023. On our agenda this evening is board reports and council updates, an opportunity for council to talk about any items they'd like to. And then we have a special meeting scheduled for some executive session items. So let's start off with board reports and council updates. Anybody care to begin? John?
Not much to report. Nordic Council was postponed or canceled till next month, and CoA will be having a retreat this week instead of our meeting last week.
Thank you.
APSHA was also canceled. So I'm just double checking, but I don't think I have anything. No.
Okay.
Take it away, Rachel.
Yeah, and I might have to find something else in a moment, but I got a Club 20 email this morning. The House Bill 1101007, the Senate Committee of Reference Amendment is not going very well for the West Slope. And it still says that the transportation, sorry, thank you, it's on. That the transportation planning regions as defined in the state will, in a manner that ensures that the state's population is proportionably and equitably represented on the Transportation Advisory Committee, which means with 80% of the population being on the front range and only 20% on the west slope, this is a dramatic change from lane miles to population-based. And so the transportation regions were always population miles-based. I think that this is critical enough to try to get RAFTA involved, if you haven't already. Their buses run on our roads, and when we're looking for any sort of improvement to our roads, I actually let people know a little more about this one who were attending the QQ meeting last week, because once the transportation maintenance dollars are cut, you see more sand in the rivers and suspended solids. You see more salting being used, which also is bad for rivers. Across the West Slope, we still don't have shoulders on most of our highways, let alone passing zones when you need them. And to see this kind of attempt to realign Colorado's Transportation Commission, their powers and duties, and eventually their funding, and that will affect, that commission helps allocate the transportation funding that comes down from the feds as well. So you could see an awful lot more of the money going to Denver Regional Transportation, Dr. Cobb, to Colorado Springs, to all these heavy population-based centers as opposed to rural transportation authorities. So that's kind of my bigger update coming from the Club 20 meeting. I did send an email to Julie McCloskey myself today, but I think we should send a letter from the city of Aspen, and to the extent possible, get RAFTA and Dan Blankenship and get those guys involved too. Yeah. Thank you.
Makes sense.
Good.
For you, Ward.
I just have one update, and it's from a RAFTA subcommittee meeting for planning for the annual retreat, trying to figure out what the subjects can be, who the facilitators might be, what the venue would be, and what was raising to the top was sustainable workforce. And under that, of course, is workforce housing. Accessibility and mobility, which would be first, last mile mobility. And also a good amount of interest in reaching out more to the Latino community for involvement, not just as informational, but to get their involvement in perhaps inviting them to the annual meeting. But we're going to loop back after the summit that's going to be at Dorhoser this Wednesday on housing. As another, it's not really a committee meeting, but we do have an adaptive skier exchange from Bariloche in the valley. I had dinner with them Friday night, met with a couple several of the people that I met in Bariloche, and it was nice to see them and what they're doing with the, well, they don't like to be called handicapped, but the physically challenged skiing community and sitting community. So that's just a sister city's sideline.
Board, are you planning on attending the housing summit this Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. Yes?
I'm on the wait list for it, but I don't know how many people they will let in or not.
I'll open the door if you show up.
Yeah,
Did you sign up?
I haven't.
yeah, it's a wait-listed thing.
I see you thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
If three of you are gonna attend, we need to notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do do that.
Mind if you can just give Nicole the,
Do you need me to send an email? Okay.
Yeah, I have my ticket, so.
Yep, okay. I made a note to get that letter together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I just sent it on to Tara and
Great.
Sarah as well. And, you know, one thing I didn't mention, but it's really worth mentioning, is that this amendment to change the Transportation Commission makeup has been slipped into a bill for the Ozone Season Transit Grant Program flexibility. It has nothing to do with the ozone grant flexibility. That's what's really frustrating about it. Thank you. The only other thing I would have, if anybody else has anything else, is I wanted to bring back and show the Colorado River District's annual funding brochure and annual report of what they've gotten done in 2022. I highlight this because there are a whole list here, two or three pages worth of projects that got funded through them. There's nothing that the city of Aspen applied for. There's several the Roaring Fork Conservancy has and some other water groups around us. But this is just such an asset and a resource that we should be taking some greater advantage of. Pitkin County is the single largest contributor by population to the River District because it's a mill levy and it's based on property taxes. And so, you know, we're really putting a lot into it. And they are doing a lot of work, as I've said before, to assist communities pulling down the federal grants. And it's really the federal money. This is just what they've done with their money from the mill levy. But what the federal grants coming down are more than a fire hose worth of resources for this community to take advantage of. We know we're talking about long-range planning on a reservoir in the Woody Creek area and moving our water rights. We know we only have a 3.5 day supply, you know, of surface water. So this is just something that's going to be critically important to all of us in the future. Thank you. And that was a Club 20 board report from their connection there.
This isn't a board report, but I'd like to bring it up so we can be noodling it. And that is, had a couple of meetings with ComDev and Building Department and about streamlining the process. And one of the things that came up was how difficult it is and how much staff time is taken figuring out workforce housing mitigation with the formula that we have now. And a suggestion was made that perhaps instead of figuring out what the circulation space is and hallways and stairways and all of that, just to simplify it so that the mitigation would be based solely on the square feet of the livable space. And that would eliminate having to reconfigure the workforce housing mitigation when minor changes were made in a building in a permit process. So that's something that I know Rachel and Skippy won't be around, but something that we could have on our horizon coming up to streamline and make it less confusing and easier to apply.
Skippy? Any other updates, comments, questions, suggestions?
no?
I have none. Ward, any other items you want to?
have a great memory, but it's short, so I have nothing else to add at this time.
Okay, thanks. With that, that's our work session agenda today.
New record by 2 minutes.
Yep, by 2 minutes. All right, if there's nothing else, then we'll go ahead and adjourn our work session, and we need to call to order a special meeting. So with that, I will do that. This is a call to order of the Aspen City Council special meeting for March 20th, 2023. Got it right twice. Could we have a roll call for attendance, please?
Counselor Doyle,
Yes.
Counselor Howenstein,
Present.
Counselor Mesereau,
Present.
Counselor Richards, Mayor Tory.
I'm here.
Mr. Mayor, we had kind of combined the work session and the special meeting. Special meeting did have on the agenda council updates, which you've done through your work session just this second ago. The next item is the executive session. Staff is requesting that council go into executive session pursuant to C.R.S. Section 24-64024A, purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, sale of real property or other property interests. 4B, conferences with an attorney for the local public body for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions. 4E, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. And F, personnel. The specific items of discussion involve the following. It's ongoing litigation, the Centennial Owners Association versus City of Aspen, Aber versus City of Aspen. Legal advice, we're seeking legal advice regarding the following matters. City of Aurora versus the Colorado Department of Revenue. That's an appellate court case, 21 CA 1423. Sawmill Court LLC / AIG insurance claim, and the Burlingame 3 construction status. We're also seeking discussion of property acquisition, the lease, transfer, or acquisition of real property or property interests, contract negotiations, and communication with counsel regarding such subjects. Due to market forces, negotiation strategies, and confidentiality demands of parties involved and necessitated by the subject of the specific legal advice, which further disclosure would be a detriment to the city's strategic position, the exact properties cannot be disclosed. Finally, there will be a city attorney review. Council votes to go into executive session. Executive session will be recorded, and the recording will be maintained by the clerk for a period of not less than 90 days. Again, as is our history, we will convene downstairs in the Electric Pass conference room, and we will not return to this room to adjourn the special meeting. Thank you.
We move into executive session.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote for going into executive session, please?
Counselor Doyle,
Yes.
Counselor Howenstein,
Yes.
Counselor Mesereau.
Yes.
Counselor Richards.
Yes.
Mayor Tory.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We
Thank
will
you.
adjourn and go downstairs, or we will not adjourn. We will go
Thank you,
downstairs and
Grassroots.
Continue the meeting.
Regular meeting on Tuesday.
Very good.
See you then. All right.